Thank you, Dhananjay. Thank you so much for it. It's a pleasure to share this stage with you, having closely worked so hard together. What I'll do is I'll quickly for the audience set a context of who we are, and then present in that background that how PC Sol and AWS have really come together to not just solve a problem but create opportunity for us, more importantly for our clients per se. I myself am a engineer, MBA. A decade back, I was also handling a couple of data centers. My background is quite different from your regular engineer. I was in the Indian Army, and after which I did an MBA, then started off Circle of Life. So I kind of understand the data center piece pretty well. At least I thought I did. So Circle of Life Healthcare is a data analytics platform. We've got a product which is called ZVAC, and it works in the infection management space. Our primary users and clients are hospital clinicians. For the purpose of the software and the analytics platform, needless to say, it needs to integrate closely with the existing enterprise IT, which is available at the client's end. Anyone who's worked in enterprise IT would know that integration is one of the key challenges any product, especially a startup, has when it comes to breaking into an enterprise IT space with the existing legacy solutions. So that's the integration piece, which is always challenging, and that really considerably elongates the time or the time to deployment for any product in the enterprise space. Hospital, enterprise, or healthcare IT is even more challenging because on top of all the challenges or all the nuances of an enterprise IT, healthcare enterprise IT also has the additional layer of high security involved. So we've got various compliances, HIPAA compliance involved. ISO 27001 is like a basic, nobody will talk to us till we don't have those in place. And in that background, what I as a product head, chief product officer and co-founder of Circle of Life was facing is that many of our clients, when we used to go to them, they already had an existing cloud deployment, there's a level of comfort with the cloud that you are already on, and most of them or many of them had already deployed their enterprise IT solutions on AWS for a number of reasons, which ranges from all the reasons that we are also comfortable with AWS and cost optimization, scale, security, and transparency and availability. So those are the reasons why they had gone into the enterprise cloud of the AWS. So when we would speak to them, we observed that not having a instance on AWS was almost amounted to losing the business, and therefore it was more of a business imperative for us to be on AWS. So it's kind of a network effect, and when we realized that, we said that we have to quickly move onto the AWS platform per se. Started discussing with PC Sol, Dhananjay, Devgiri, the team came on board, and I went to them with my use case or my opportunity that was there with me, and that my ask from PC Sol was, I need to have my product deployment in an AWS environment first. Second, this needs to be done at speed, because startup is all about speed. So the faster we go, that's how we can't live without speed. So speed. Then the third ask was security. So I want to make sure that data security cannot be compromised at any level. So we need to have the base denominator has to be HIPAA, has to be ISO 27001, NIST framework, so that has to be born in mind. So I need security. And further, because we are dealing with patients and the product helps clinician make decisions about the line of treatment that a patient needs to be put on. So it needs to be high availability. We cannot go down. So that was another ask or a base requirement from our end for this particular deployment, for these deployments, I would say, not a particular, but these deployments. And also on top of that, startups are all about resources, how we optimize resources, how we thrive. So it was also about having a transparency on the costing part, transparent or an easy management of the entire cloud infrastructure, and on to top it all, that it needs to be done at speed. The entire CI/CD pipeline needs to be replicated onto the AWS, and I want like a single click kind of a deployment that happens for each of my clients. So I came with these asks to PCSol and AWS. I must confess there, I don't know what happened or how it happened, but PCSol really came back in warp speed. They came back with an architecture that would enable all of my requirements along with disaster recovery and so on and so forth. And they got cracking at the problem. Along with AWS, they kind of very quickly created the first level or the first deployment in a matter of couple of days in which they did it. It was definitely less than a week. It might have been even before that. And so two things really stood out for me. One was the speed at which they operated. They matched the speed of the startup, even though they are a 30-year-old firm, but they matched my requirements. So that was one. It literally took everything off my plate. So all the risks that I had, I was concerned about security, I was concerned about speed, I was concerned about availability, I was concerned about how my entire CI/CD pipeline is going to work, both on on the existing cloud and on the new cloud in AWS. And they just took that. It was like a magic wand. They took it away. And when they did that, after a couple of weeks, they demonstrated the whole pipeline to me, how smoothly it was working. Along with that, what I realized is because of some of the things that we had not previously envisioned, they had put in place auto scaling, scale up, scale down, which also helped me bring down my costs of my each deployment. So net, what I want to highlight here is, as a founder, as a business owner, as a product head, what are my big risks that I see when I go onto the cloud? And in an environment, working in a domain where data security is paramount, some of the risks that I see is privacy of data, reliability of the infrastructure, availability, and then speed. Finally, to top it all, what is my cost? What is the cost to my company of providing this for my clients? And on all those fronts, the architecture which was delivered has been satisfactory is understatement. It has exceeded that because my costs are down, my reliability is up, my engineers training, it did not take them long, hardly a couple of days, where they quickly understood how this pipeline works. The Docker instance, now we've got it all Docker. I mean, needless to mention, that's the standard now. Whenever instances are there, we put it into Dockers and it gets rolled down. So all that aspect has been handled through the deployment that has happened thanks to PCSol on AWS. And lastly, by doing this, we have been able to unlock a set of clients which previously we would not have. So my business is also grown because of the fact that it's the AWS cloud. There is a sense of security and ease in the mind of my clients. And I'm talking about not just Indian clients, but we are a company which is operating across continents. So we look at domestic, we look at USA, we look at UK, and we look at Middle East. That's where our clients are from. And we are across the globe, everywhere. And needless, I mean, it all goes down to having that presence in each of the continent. Like for example, if you're in Middle East, you cannot have your their instance in a cloud which is in India. So AWS provides me that flexibility. So when I talk to my Middle East or UK, I just tell them I will host my service onto your data center which is there in your geography. So all those flexibilities and global capabilities has been unlocked thanks to PC Sol and AWS. And if one needs to be looking at reasons to migrate, one should consider all these factors that I have said.